New York City is considered one of the greatest cities in the world, yet any New Yorker will tell you that the city is only great for those who fit in the bracket of having extreme wealth, boiling down to the simple but harsh statement that if you have money, New York will be a dream. If you don't, it can be a nightmare. So how has the city become such a capitalist utopia, and why is it so successful? Let's take a brief look at its history. New York was initially claimed by the Dutch, who recognized the incredible potential for trading it had with its harbour, the deep Hudson River, which was naturally protected by Brooklyn, New Jersey, and Staten Island. However, in 1664, the British seized this settlement the Dutch had called New Amsterdam and gave it the name it has today, New York City. But by 1783, the British had lost their control over the city due to the Revolutionary War, and in the decades following this, after a quick recovery, New York would become the largest city in the Western Hemisphere, with over 200,000 residents in the early 19th century. So, how exactly did that happen? In 1807, an ambitious plan was created by the state, and it was going to be huge for the city's growth. They would exponentially expand the city to create hundreds of gridded streets, so the city would have a greater population than is collected at any spot on this side of China, as said in the Commissioner's report in 1811, and the grid allowed the population to be held. Right-angled houses were plain, cheap to build, and conveniently for living. Ironically, so many years later, these cheap houses cost thousands of dollars a month to rent. Additionally, in 1858, a man called Frederick Olmsted wanted to create a quintessential English-themed landscape, and this dream became Central Park, an 843-acre recreational area with shrubs, lakes, rivers, and 18,000 trees. This only sped up the surge in the city's population, leading to lots of immigration and the subsequent opening of Ellis Island to process immigrants. The city itself had become a symbol of the American dream, with the infamous Wall Street where aspiring capitalists could make deals and essentially get rich very quickly. And they did. So how is it such an immensely wealthy metropolis? Well, for starters, it has one of the best tourism industries, a plan for which was created in 1971, after the city had become rather dangerous. Tourism in the Big Apple is now bringing in tens of billions of dollars per year, with breathtaking sights wherever you go in Manhattan and plenty of tourist attractions in the other 4 boroughs as well. For example, with the endlessly bustling Times Square, the Statue of Liberty, Central Park, Grand Central Station, I could list attractions all day. But arguably the most iconic feature is the skyline, and the gridded streets have unintentionally created such picturesque views down every avenue, and the skyscrapers made for the purpose of having space by expanding upwards have undoubtedly contributed to this too. Living in New York provides everything you could possibly desire. Immensely entertaining Broadway shows, world-class restaurants, millions of people to meet, hundreds of activities to do, walks to experience. It's a city that never sleeps for a reason. However, the unfortunate reality is, like I mentioned earlier, New York is simply geared towards the wealthy. With rapacious landlords doubling the price of rent without warning, American healthcare in general being extortionate, and the price of eating in a restaurant practically being equivalent to buying a car, the romanticized New York life is only achievable if you earn above a certain salary, or you'll be spending more than half your salary on rent and will hardly be able to afford food, let alone luxuries. The harsh reality is that the city is made to benefit these real estate investors, the landlords who raise rent and ruthlessly evict residents who are unable to pay up, the impatient people in suits yelling down their phones. Let's look at Billionaires Row, a collection of extremely tall buildings south of Central Park, home to, as the name suggests, billionaires. And New York is the only city in the world with over 100 of them, and this isn't for no reason. But what might surprise you is that Billionaires Row is half empty. That's right. Foreign investors have purchased these extortionate, luxurious apartments, but they don't live there. They keep some of the most desirable apartments in the entire city, simply as an asset, left empty to keep their value liquid. In other words, this means they are using this real estate, which requires virtually no maintenance given its lack of garden and almost guaranteed safety, as a way to store money, almost like using stocks. And it's a safe bet that its value will only increase as New York grows. These buildings represent the capitalist ambition with their slender style, exploitation of building regulations, and the shady tax exemptions for the investors. If that doesn't convince you of the gap between the rich and the poor in NYC, the statistic of over 60,000 homeless people stuck on the streets might. And remember that while they are left in squalor, the luxury apartments are left empty in a cruelly ironic fashion. And that's why New York is a utopia for the rich, a utopia for capitalists, and a dystopia for the people who simply don't make close to 6 figures or more a year. Thank you for watching.